This is a Tracking the Tropics update with the certified most accurate weather team at First Coast News.
Well, it's time to talk about the tropics here. Of course, Tropical Storm Melissa now expected to become a major hurricane near Jamaica, but there is still a lot of questions that we're going to break down here for you, as well as the impacts. Not just myself, meteorologist Robert Spittle. We have our chief meteorologist, Lewis Turner, and meteorologist Lee Southwick. 3 meteorologists in here with you to talk about this. So, yeah, let's...
Interesting cone. I think the first thing people, if you're just you're a casual viewer kind of taking everything in, is it's not even really, it's not conical, it's circular. It is, it's an interesting look, right? So, and in this season that we've had, that's been a somewhat unusual hurricane season, is it only fitting that we get something unusual like this as a punctuation note and a point of memory as we think back one of these days on 2025's hurricane season? It's this, and we had something, similar with Imelda, when there was a lack of confidence in the track and a lack of confidence in forward motion and intensity. And that's kind of, we've got all 3 of those sort of scenarios here. What we are kind of sure of, we'll tell you what we kind of know, and what we still are yet to learn is, it's slow. Right, and it says it right there. If you look at movement there, the MOV, west-northwest at 2. It truly, like, 2. It's barely moving, right? So we know it's a slow mover. And we do know, another thing we do know is that the Caribbean islands will be impacted to a point of life-threatening condition. So folks with interest in Jamaica, with folks with interests Cuba and or the nations of Hispaniola between Haiti and Dominican Republic really must pay attention to this one.
Lee, what are your thoughts on this right now? I know, this is a little bit of a change up from yesterday because we had this, the NHC was showing a little bit further north. Now it's heading towards the west. What are you thinking?
I do like that there's a little bit more agreement with the westward movement. I don't like that for places like Jamaica, Cuba, the Bahamas, but at least we're starting to get a better idea maybe of where it will go. There's still a lot of uncertainty because you see how ridiculously wide that cone is. You can see that right there too. Other thoughts, one, we were already talking yesterday about how concerned we were with the rainfall, how it could be a major rain event because it's so slow to move, so it's going to dump a lot of rain. But guys, I don't like seeing that it's a Cat 3 because now that brings more of a wind issue in too. So not only could this be potentially catastrophic flooding for mountainous regions in places like Haiti, and then you go towards Jamaica and maybe even Cuba too, of course, with their mountains there, flash flooding, mudslides. But if it's a Cat 3 over Jamaica as well, then that's a major concern when it comes to the wind.
So you're talking about like nearly a foot of rainfall potentially in a few spots here. Combine that with the wind. I think this is going to be, not to hype it or anything, but I think it's pretty serious, especially for Jamaica with the latest track here. Cat 3, foot of rain, just goes back to the slow movement of this. And we can even see a little bit of that, I think, in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You can actually see today, we still have a little bit of that shear kind of off towards the north. See the clouds moving from west to east, but this eventually is going to escape that and kind of move into that area favorable for that intensification. Lou, do you think we're going to see, once it escapes the shear here, some maybe rapid intensification coming out of it?
Yeah, and the trend, to become a major Category 3 hurricane slowly. So it does need to, exit some high shear. It needs to get into those areas where there's less steering current as well, which also lends itself to that slow movement. Because we're talking, if you, again, looking at the cone, this is, the NHC's forecasting, it's still Monday and still centered up in the middle of the Caribbean. So that's concerning, for the islands of the Caribbean, the Bahamas. Intensity has been a little bit windshield wipery with models. I mean, this 3 could be conservative estimate. This could be. I mean, there's some modeling outliers certainly that would suggest even stronger, and so that's a concern. Now, I do want to, if we get to the bigger picture thoughts on Florida impacts, because I know a lot of people tuning into this. You're in Jacksonville, you're North Florida, Southeast Georgia. You're going to see this slow motion. You're going to see a storm in the Caribbean getting really, really strong. And, our thoughts absolutely with those in those Caribbean islands, and they need to be prepared. But you look at modeling and you get beyond kind of this weekend, first of next week. Ultimately, as it does eventually make more of a northern turn, just physics alone, the atmospheric conditions alone insist that it's going to kind of get back out, head northeast, and back into the Atlantic.
Lee, what are your thoughts on it right now?
Well, I absolutely hate that spaghetti model plot.
Right.
That is a mess. With that said, I do like how it showed what Lou was talking about, how it will curve to the northeast and very likely miss the state of Florida. Not a concern for us here on the First Coast. If you do have relations in the Bahamas, I would definitely keep an eye on this too, though. It's possible that it could move that way, especially with the farther west it goes. So the farther west it goes, the more, I'll say, closer to Florida it will get. Again, right now it does not look like it's going to make landfall in Florida, but that's more likely to swing it over towards Cuba and then the Bahamas. And so there's a little bit more model agreement, but look at the timing of this. So the GFS, that's Sunday into Monday, bringing it over places like Haiti and Cuba. While meanwhile, the European still has it growing in the Caribbean, then impacting Jamaica by the middle of next week. We're talking a week out until it's impacting Jamaica, Cuba, and then the Bahamas. So timing's still extremely uncertain with this too, not only when it comes to the intensity forecast, but the timing and the track of this. So if it continues to go to the west, it's going to lean more towards that European model as so the farther west it goes, the more likely it is to meander out there, strengthen, unfortunately, with that warm Caribbean water, and then impact places like Jamaica, Cuba, and the Bahamas, whereas if it starts to turn to the north a bit faster, it's more of an issue for Haiti, the Dominican Republic, with all of that rain still falling there, but it gets out of the Caribbean faster.
And I think to go to the point of Florida, you can kind of see here with this picture that high pressure over just towards the north. I think, honestly, at this point, and this is my opinion, so over the weekend we got some rain in the forecast for the First Coast, right? That's going to help hook this up. If we get any impacts, maybe a nor'easter type setup on the back side of this, but yeah, any troughs coming through are just going to dig this and kick it off towards our east. So Jacksonville, I know a lot of people see this and they might think Milton or Helene, but it's just definitely not the broader setup that we're seeing with that. Luke, you want to elaborate on that?
And there's a lot of, with the troughs, kind of the parade of fronts that we've been having coming across the United States. The sheer level, the steering in the Gulf, it wouldn't make sense. It seems like it would tear anything apart. And just considering all the dry air that kind of continues to kind of pulse in through kind of the middle of our country and then into the southeast over and over again. So anything that, if a storm were to kind of try to trickle north, first of all, the steering currents aren't going to, just won't allow it with current setup. And then even if it were, there's so much dry air that things would just kind of fizzle. So, following a path of least resistance, following things going to run downhill, it looks like that northern turn is highly likely. Now, I in terms of, what people should be doing and what at this time how you're directly impacted. So I'd say putting it in terms of who needs to be taking action and who needs to be aware and who needs to just kind of have this sort of set off into the side of their mind and watching, because as you know, with lower confidence into Monday, Tuesday, still a lot can change. Obviously, islands in the Caribbean, if you were to have, say, a cruise or any sort of vacation, a mid-fall vacation to the islands always sounds nice, but you always have to contend with the tropics, of course. So hopefully you've got your cruise line on speed dial and those backup plans, because that's not looking great for you. Anyone who with interests in Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cuba, the Bahamas, needs to be taking action on this right now. This is preparation time. We got to get our affairs right, and so we can avoid the life-threatening condition. Folks who need to just stay kind of aware, I'd say, at worst, on the far outlying parts of this forecast, the Florida Keys and maybe extreme South Florida, and if for nothing else, maybe by the time we get to Monday, Tuesday, we're talking about a rainy, windy, not life-threatening, but rainy, windy sort of situation there. And as far as us in North Florida, I think as long as, we're doing what we've been doing, what we've been trained for, what we've been practicing all hurricane season, is we're just monitoring, right? So you kind of check in once or twice per day, I think is a great idea for you here in Northeast Florida, Southeast Georgia. So you just kind of, nothing catches you off guard.
And just to go back to what you're talking about, monitoring that, but at the same time, we got some kind of westerly lows that are going to bring us rain.
Sure.
This is over the weekend. This is also probably one reason this thing on Sunday over towards Monday, we have a little trough dipping down. That's going to help hook Melissa, hopefully, and churn that towards north. And one more reason why it should stay towards the east, but doesn't make you rain free. Right. We have a westerly storm that's going to move on through. So, yeah, that's a look at the tropics, though. Kind of, Lee, got anything you want to add on it?
I was just wondering if we should discuss. I know you and I talked about this yesterday, Robert. And sorry if we already mentioned it at the beginning of this, but just why the cone is so big, and we talked about the uncertainty. But I just want to remind everyone that the cone is where the center of the storm could be.
Good reminder.
So
yes.
Just a friendly reminder that means that's how uncertain these models are. You could have the center, or say the eye of a Category 2, Category 3 hurricane over Jamaica, or at the same time, very likely far south of Jamaica. So there's just so much uncertainty with that. And remember, also, that's where the eye could go, which means impacts extend beyond that. So although the Dominican Republic not in the cone anymore, still impacts expected there when it comes to that rainfall.
And I like this graphic I'm pulling up right now because it shows the extent of tropical storm strength winds, the probability of it. And you can see how that does still extend back towards like Haiti. And it shows just kind of the whole girth of this storm system. It's not, especially with something like this, at least for the time being, it doesn't have defined low-level circulation, or at least a defined eye. So you're focused more on the broader impacts. This is actually something you talked about with the head of the National Hurricane Center at the beginning of the season, didn't you, Lee? About how talking about the impacts versus the cone, why they're kind of trying to get away from the cone of air.
And that's why now you'll see, say there's a cone that impacts the United States, you will notice within that cone, you're going to have all of your inland watches and warnings highlighted too. So the example that they used was Milton, and they've also used Irma before, but what it means is that it's going to highlight places like Orlando inland, because it's a friendly reminder to those inland you can still get those hurricane force winds or tropical storm force winds. And so that's just one way that they're trying to kind of reimagine the cone to help explain the impacts. You'll see the warnings inside and outside of the cone. So here right now, just speaking of watches and warnings, guys, we only have that tropical storm alert for Jamaica, even though the cone shows it being potentially a Cat 3 over there. And I think that, just to let everyone know, that's because it's so far out. Watches and warnings do have to do with timing, but also the uncertainty as well, because there is that possibility that maybe it moves to the north and passes parts of Jamaica too. So the tropical storm watch in effect now, but I wouldn't be surprised if in the coming days we get that hurricane watch, or it gets upgraded to the warnings as well. Just some uncertainty with that. So for now, everyone in Jamaica, or if you were planning to go to Jamaica, guys, I had a friend who was just in Jamaica visiting for a wedding. It's wedding season.
Yeah.
A lot of people heading there too. I have friends vacationing in the Dominican Republic this weekend too. But it is something to keep in mind, that although it just says tropical storm watch, don't think that, it's only going to be a tropical storm or those conditions there. It could absolutely be upgraded to hurricane.
All right. Well, so I guess one of the big takeaways, at least for us locally, is that it doesn't look like it's going to hit Florida for that matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless South Florida could, but
We'll watch.
it's rare. Not rare, but unlikely, at least at this time.
7 day.
7 day, nice.
Yeah, pretty nice. Cold. Tomorrow, waking up Thursday morning, 40s. The trend has been lower and lower, so we're gonna keep those 40s in. I promise.
This is where yesterday we got on the tangent. I don't know how we got on.
Oh, I know, because we said, like, we don't like the 40s. We're not Team 40s.
Team
like
40s.
Team Jacob or Team Edward.
Team Edward's
so,
the 50s.
Lewis Turner, Team Edward or Team Jacob.
Which one was the wolf?
That was Jacob.
Jacob. 100% Jacob.
Yeah. That's what I said. That's like any good dad, and I'm sorry if you're a Team Edward and you're a father, always gonna go Team Jacob.
Yeah.
He's just
He's protective.
He's a protective guy. He's like
He's protective.
Good puppy.
He's not wanting to put her life at risk. You know what I mean? Not taking her over to be some immortal. It's, I got to deal with that crap. You know?
just from a dad's standpoint, that just
perspective.
sounds like a pain in the butt.
100%. It's been a while since I've watched those movies, but I tell you, I was into it. I
Tis the season to watch it.
And then
It's
it's about
Halloween
that
time.
Yeah, spooky season. It is that time. And I fought tooth and nail. I was kicking and screaming, no, honey, I'm not watching this crap.
Now you got into it.
Then I got
read
into
the
it,
books
and then I'm
everything.
reading the books.
You read the books?
Yes.
Did you realize? I was joking.
No.
I'm
I
impressed.
love
I'm
that.
impressed, sir.
Yeah, well, she got me going into it, and so I had to ask because it's been so long. I mean, it's been a long, long time, and my brain only has room for so much information. But yes,
That is a topic that will live in my brain for the rest of my life.
We also got onto it because last night was a new moon, of course.
Oh.
Book.
there you go.
And we had the Orion and meteor shower. Did
Lot of
either of you
space.
see some shooting stars?
No,
I did not.
I watched the
tried.
back of my eyelids.
I was outside for like 15 minutes around 11 o'clock, and I was like, well, I'm done.
Done.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those where you have to manage your expectations. You might see one or two fireballs. But Lee has a story later on today about this. The Earth has a new moon. Not a new moon, but a new moon. What's going on here, Lee?
that
What do you
makes
got?
sense.
Yeah, this morning I woke up and as you do, you scroll Instagram to wake up. That's what I do. And I saw two headline posts that said NASA scientists confirm second moon. And so I said, what? And I dove into this. And I'm going to say that headline I think is misleading. I say that's not true. Or we'll say kind of. We'll meet people in the middle because it is not a real moon. It is a quasi moon. And what that means is that it is not impacted by Earth's gravitational pull. So it's not actually our moon or any sort of moon for us. But what it is it's an asteroid or any sort of celestial object that is going to orbit with Earth. So it's kind of like in step with us. Imagine that it came running up next to us on the track and it just continued to go along with us. So it's hanging out in Earth's shadow because it's orbiting the sun just right next to us. So it looks like it's hanging out around us, but it's really just orbiting the sun. And so it's been given the name 2025 PN7. It was discovered by scientists earlier this year at the University of Hawaii. And it was only discovered this year because it's so small. They think it's about the size of a small building, but it's really been hanging out for 60 years. So it's not new. It's not a moon. You couldn't even call it the second moon because there are 8 quasi-moons around Earth. So it would be 8 or 9 if you're going to count the real moon. And so it is going to hang out with us for about 60 more years, and then it will end up taking a different orbit around the sun and move away from the Earth. So if you see those headlines popping up in the next couple of days, it is not that we actually have a second moon. It's not going to impact us like our moon impacts our tides. It's not going to do anything like that. It's just orbiting Earth right along with us. It's just kind of running next to us.
Sounds like we've got ourselves a stage 5 clinger.
Yeah, for at least 60 years.
I was just so curious. I was looking it up. I was like, what does the PN7 mean? Is there 7 other moons? Do you know this one, Lee?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
So, not like I know this offhand. I'm literally Googling it right now. So the P is the half moon of discovery. So the P indicates that the object was discovered in the second half of August.
Cool.
Fun fact. And the N7 identifies the order of discovery. I figured the 7 was probably, so the N indicates it's the 13th object found, and the 7 resets after the first 25. So it's in space. This is the way, like, what was it, the 3-eye atlas, I know that, and that's why it got me thinking about it, because 3-eye atlas, everybody's talking about it.
Yep.
The 3 is the third eye is interstellar, and Atlas was the telescope it was found by. So it's the
That's
third
That's a little easier to
interstellar.
understand than what
this one is so confusing.
resetting after 25.
Well, I checked to see it because 7, so I was thinking maybe it's the 7th quasi moon that's been discovered. But
I saw the
that's not
number
what it is.
8. I think there are 8 quasi moons. Now, one thing, I actually did try to look this up, and I got some conflicting info. I don't know if this is the 8th or if there are 8 already, and this would make it the 9th. Just for total transparency for everyone. So what we're going to say is there are other quasi moons. How many? But it's not like this would even be the second moon that some are trying to
Do y'all
claim.
remember about 4.5, 5 minutes ago when I said the phrase, I only have so much room in my brain for new information?
You don't find this cool?
I found it,
No, no,
I found it, but I'm
probably
scared
will-
what I'm losing right now. What have
Something
what have I
else
just
is
lost? What's my great-grandmother's name? It was dicey. I can't remember. I've lost something. It's like trying to memorize the Dewey Decimal System. No, the quasi-moon part is fascinating, but I'm trying to think, well, how are we naming this thing? Well, if you carry the 1 and you put over a remainder 3.
Right. I was hoping it was something simple, but
No, God, no. With space? No.
No.
That is why I didn't look it up, and I just simply said the name is, and we're going to move on. So as long as we know.
Got sped over here, Googling stuff.
I just
and
gotta.
end up down another Twilight-style rabbit hole. Speaking of Ghostbusters, what Ghostbusters is your favorite? If we're talking, speaking of Ghostbusters,
The ghost?
well, I'm sorry. Are you?
I'm a big Slimer fan.
Are you
Slimer? Is that his name?
Peter or Ray?
Oh, as far as the actual
Yeah, your
Ghostbusters. I'm talking about the ghost.
The ghosts themselves.
But the ghost, whatever one Bill Murray was.
Oh yeah, Peter Venkman.
There you go.
Okay, so Peter Venkman. I was a Ray guy, or Egon. I just loved Egon, man. Total science nerd, total realist. I love that guy.
I think Lee. I mean, unless you were into the '80s movies, you might be a little too
Might
young
not.
for a good Ghostbusters flick.
I was not going to say anything.
Yeah,
I was
that's
going to
fine.
let that
She
continue
starts
to
spitting out
slide.
names from the reboots.
I was just like nodding my head agreeing like, yeah, great.
Just my favorite movie of all time. All time.
Really?
Really?
Ghostbusters. That's it. And
Is that your
original?
Halloween
The original.
movie? Like,
that's
family
the
gets
go-to.
down?
Freaks my kids out. But it holds up, man. Special effects. They hold up. They're a little cheesy, but they kind of.
Do you know what I just saw the other day on movies? The Thing. If you haven't watched The Thing or recently, ooh, it's the one. Yeah, that
Okay.
movie. It's from the '80s.
Got to watch it. Okay.
Just,
Maybe I'll do that and freak my kids out.
I was
Got-
thinking if you want to freak out your kids, there you
I'll
go.
do it.
Got 9 days till Halloween to
There you go.
watch all those
Pumped up.
movies.
Might be cool. We might be looking at one of those cold, like as opposed to sweating through our Halloween costumes. We might be comfortable.
That was a couple of years ago here in Jacksonville. We had one where it was like 90,
yes,
right? And it was
yes, sweating.
Why?
Yeah,
through the
that's the
costume.
problem for my costume because I was just erring on the side of it being warmer. So I don't know. Do you guys have costumes yet?
Not yet,
No.
but we were brainstorming. We're getting there.
All
We
right,
only have
long
9
sleeves
days, so-
maybe for some
Telling you.
costumes.
I
Well-
think I have like a. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to wrap it, but I want.
Yeah,
you to
I was actually pulling back up the truck because we're really off topic now.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say I'm about to go do the noon broadcast. So if you want to come over to the noon side of things and hang out, we'll look at some more of Melissa. We'll look at some modeling, but we'll also talk about things that are going to impact us more directly in the here and now. So we'll get to kind of that Sunday, Monday forecast we'll watch because we got the Sea and Sky show we got this weekend with Blue Angels.
Still,
Yeah.
are the
Little
Blue
breezy
Angels
up
coming?
there.
Blue Angels are coming. We confirmed
Wait,
that yesterday.
officially?
Yeah, we were reporting that yesterday on First Coast News. So unless
I
that's
thought it was still a maybe. Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Amazing.
we were talking about they're coming. They said it like 3 times in 3 different half hours yesterday, right before my weather forecast. So
This is
right.
I'm trusting
excellent
Anthony
news.
Austin and Jeannie Blaylock and Heather Crawford.
This is excellent news.
So good news there, and then it just I think with Sunday, we'll talk about this at noon, but we might want to watch kind of the later part of the day for increasing breezes and maybe rain. So if you're picking one, I'm going to go one day. I only get one day to go do this. I think Saturday needs to be your pick, in my opinion.
All right.
All right.
Well, watch at noon because we're gonna have more on that, more on Melissa, and at 4:30 today.
Talking tropics, talking weather. We'll have Ross in. We'll do a full-blown stream yet again if you're going to be right here with us at First Coast News Plus.
First, all right. Wait.
See you.